Elon and his DOGE wrecking crew about to blow up the most despised government agency in the land. Word is the IRS is about to mass fire nearly 7,000 audit-loving, pencil-pushing workers from their roster. Musk telling Hannity that he had no choice but to pursue the DOGE cuts.
As the president said, there's a lot of rich people out there. They should be caring more about the country, because the reason they should be caring more about the country is if America falls, what do you think is going to happen to your business? What do you think? Do you think you're going to be okay if the ship of America sinks? Of course not. What I'm doing here, what the president's doing, it's just long-term thinking. The ship of America must be strong. The ship of America cannot sink. If it sinks, we all sink with it.
But there could be a big, beautiful payoff for the American people if DOGE is successful. Musk is mulling $5,000 DOGE dividend checks funded by the savings from his Department of Government Efficiency. 47 seems on board, but some Democrats aren't sold.
There's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the DOGE savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible, Elon. So many billions of dollars, billions, hundreds of billions, and we're thinking about giving 20% back to the American citizens.
We are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you.
Now, Harold, that woman, Jasmine Crockett, praised the stimmy checks back in the day. And now she says, what are you going to do with $5 grand?
Look, I said yesterday that paying down the debt should be the first priority. If you pay down the debt, you actually make it possible for more dollars to be lent to private companies because they're not, the public debt is not crowding that dollar. We pay $1 trillion almost in interest on our debt. If you're able to reduce that, that reduces government spending. That's the third, fourth most expensive thing government does. The $5,000 checks, I love the idea. I think you should only send it to people who earn less than $150,000 a year. Sending $5,000 to a multimillionaire here in New York or Boston or Philadelphia or New Jersey when we should be paying down our debt, that to me is a bigger priority than all. I appreciate—
You know what really reduces government spending? When the government spends less, Harold.
I appreciate, right. And if they save money, they should pay their debt down. We had the conversation yesterday. I agreed. I respected your opinion yesterday. I disagree with it totally, but that is an opinion. I don't think that paying down the debt should be second to anything. $36 trillion. Your kids and my kids and our grandkids one day will be saddled continuing to paying this down. Finally, on what Elon said about DOGE, it's unclear to me if the president and Mr. Musk are as thoughtful about— I use the word thoughtful to describe my pal Greg Gutfeld and this great article in Variety here in the last day or so. But it's unclear if they're being thoughtful about some of these cuts. Your buddy that got cut, CDC lost an office here in New York. 9/11, the survivors of 9/11 lost one of their offices here in New York. Republican and Democrat congressmen in New York and New Jersey sent a letter to Mr. Kennedy today asking him to restore that and to open that office back up. Bipartisan. Why? Because it's not clear to me that they're looking at all of this in a way where they're analyzing readiness, where they're analyzing whether or not these dollars are being spent effectively. There's no doubt there's fraud and waste and inefficiencies. I just hope they're more careful and more studious and fastidious as they go about making some of these cuts. But giving some money back to taxpayers, earning under $150,000 a year, and then paying down the debt, that ought to be the priority.
All right, Judge Jeanine.
Well, that's what he wants. He said, that's what the president just said.
He said to everybody.
You know what? Here's the bottom line.
But I like it.
I like the idea of giving $5,000 to everybody, not because I want it or don't want it, but let's do something across the board for everybody, and let's cut down on the debt. The most important thing we've got to do is stop spending, stop funding programs, stop paying for things we shouldn't be paying for. And today, the president signed an executive order that directs all of the federal agencies to identify and eliminate programs currently providing benefits to illegals. Do you know how much money that's going to save? We have spent so much money on illegals and on USAID and on duplicity. I was a local DA. I prosecuted Medicaid fraud. Let me explain something to you. That was not my charge, but it was so unbelievable. I got hundreds or tens of millions of dollars, and it's low-hanging fruit. That you can't say you have to make sure we don't do this and don't do that. Let's just start from square one and then decide what is essential. What is essential for the American government to survive? And most of the stuff we have is just payback to people who did this for that person or this for another person. And we've got to stop doing that. And, the IRS letting go 6,000 employees, I have no problem with that because Joe Biden, between 2021 and 2024, put on 25,000 new IRS agents. The only reason we even needed them was because of COVID. Nobody could figure out there was so much corruption who was getting paid and not paid. So, we can't start crying and saying, oh, we can't do this. Let's just get it done, go down to brass tacks.
I'm not crying. I'm only saying your guy should not have been fired.
Well,
the
wait a
CDC
minute.
office
Why
shouldn't have
not?
been closed. The low-hanging fruit of Medicare is where they should have started. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot more money there. That's all. And I'm not crying.
Real men don't cry.
Okay.
The fired IRS agents, are
Yes.
those the ones with the guns, Dana?
No. Well, I don't know who they're. One person I follow said that these roughly half of them are the ones that go after audit small business owners and the self-employed. And so, but I think we're kind of missing one point here that I would add to this discussion, which is that don't forget it was Biden's Inflation Reduction Act that added $80 billion in IRS funding and 90,000 more IRS agents. So even with what they're saying that they want to do with DOGE, the Biden IRA people still come out ahead for the IRS. And the other thing is you are about to watch the Democrats add to their list of priorities defending the IRS. So now they're going to they're digging an even bigger hole for themselves.
Yeah, Harold.
I said,
I'm not saying that Harold's not doing it, but
Keep crying.
our new friend is.
No, Harold. Greg.
Well, I mean, okay, so this dividend is not right, but it's persuasive.
Yeah.
DOGE wasn't
Well
supposed
said.
to be Robin Hood, but everybody loves Robin Hood, especially if he's robbing on behalf of you. And Trump understands, hey, if the government's been ripping you off and giving it to cronies, maybe it's time we get in on the action. Trump is like Omar in The Wire, stealing from the drug dealers. I get the idea, but it's not going to help solve the debt crisis unless you look at it long term. And this is where I straddle the fence. Oh, and it hurts.
That's not you. That's not the way you roll. You never straddle the fence.
Okay, so look at this long term. How do you keep the public supportive of DOGE over time? Because I'm suffering from DOGE exhaustion disorder. I wake up every morning. It's like getting a new puppy every day. I love it, but after 20 puppies, I mean, come on. But you know what? You know what's amazing? Trump fulfilled the most outrageous boast he ever made. You're going to win so much, you're going to get tired of winning. And it's actually happening. I mean, maybe he knew that was going to happen. But so here's the deal. The dividend will keep supporters so you can continue with DOGE after Trump. It's a bribe. But at least it's going to the citizens who've been ripped off and not some graduate of Brown who's getting their, student loan canceled in order to vote for Biden. We went through that. So it's not right. It's persuasive. If it's right, you devote it to preventing financial ruin. If it's persuasive, you try to do that while giving the public a fat green bone. That's what you want. That's what you want. And back to you, there's no counter argument. Right now, they're losing on DOGE already. You had a DOGE dividend. I mean, that's going to be more popular than Women of the Bible cookbook.
Why is giving your money back a bribe?
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is we are looking at the budget.
So they should
and we have to shrink the government so you lower interest rates so that you can jumpstart the economy and then they'll get their money back. Sure, you can give them their money. It is their money, but you're not doing in 10 years when, our expenditures will be 7 times what we bring in. There won't be a country left, Jesse. How will you afford your hair gel?
You're talking about $55 billion that they saved
Already.
compared to the trillions Congress is spending.
Yes.
If Congress takes in $7 trillion in revenues and they spend $9 trillion, That's where the real savings
But
are.
can I add one thing?
Yeah.
It's like if you have, let's say that there's a person that has a lot of credit card debt, and then at the office, they all of a sudden find out they're getting a bonus, and it's a $5,000 bonus. What you would tell that person is you should pay down
You wouldn't go
the credit card debt so that you can start getting ahead in the
face.
future. That would be
In your face.
the other
But
argument.
that's why the other 20% is going toward the deficit.
You
guys-
also need to spend less, Dana.
Well, you
But-
give them
Well,
five.
exactly.
right,
That's
right.
the
That's the
point. But
problem.
you've got to
That's
pay
like-
down your debt.
But these numbers he's talking about, in order to give everybody $5,000, that
Yes.
means you have to have $500 billion. So that's 20%. That means they think they're going to save $2.5 trillion. I'm just 100 million Americans at $5,000. That means that's
Well, we're
$500 billion.
doing math.
Now I just lost you.
If you give $5,000 to 100 million
Yes.
people, do it in the brain.
I don't know why we're even fighting about this. You know why?
I'm not
because
fighting. I'm
with
just-
what the Democrats were doing, we were going under in a minute.
But I
Well,
know
we're still going.
But DEI and
That's the
Democrats are
problem.
blaming for
We're not-
everything. But let's just look at
They
this
are,
plan.
but
This
who did the
plan,
spending?
this plan doesn't. He has to save $2 trillion, $2.5 trillion to do this plan.
At least he's trying.
We'll give him
We'll
the
get there.
old
We'll get there.
award.
Up next, the MAGA Sports Takeover. Tiger Woods showing up at the White House today.